My name's Dr. Hannah Absalom. I'm a teaching fellow at the University of Birmingham, but my research specialism is emotions in English social housing. I was raised in a council estate in Leeds called Hyde Park, and this was during the 80s. There's a book called The Dark Heart of Britain, which was actually written about my council estate, and really painted it in a rather negative light. And so, you know, I've really sort of carried this journey of stigma with me from the time of sort of having middle-class nosy people come in and write about how bad everything is, which is half true, but doesn't really capture, I think, the complex and rather wonderful, beautiful lives that people still manage to craft for themselves in difficult contexts. But I think we need to sort of like slow down a little bit, accept this idea of stigma. It's not just stigmatising tenants, it's stigmatising the tenure. It's stigmatising the place of social housing. It's stigmatising the idea of below market, subsidised by our tax money properties for the majority of people in this country. So it's just being aware of these political utilities and functions of stigma, and how it's not a linear thing. It happens in a complex web. And tenants are rightfully angry at not being listened to by landlords, by the abysmal conditions of some properties in the social housing sector. Peoples will absorb and take into themselves stigma, and it causes strange effects. So a thing I constantly come across is people in contexts of poverty who do a horizontal blame of somebody else in poverty. Look up. That's a function of stigma, is making you look sideways, making you look inwards, making you blame somebody else, making you blame yourself, so then you want to shame somebody else. Anything but look upwards. There's a tendency for people who are subject to stigma to internalise stigma. And then we get to complicated issues of like identity and self-perception. So if you have enough people around you telling you are a thing, so the stigma of social housing is you failed to buy a property, because in our culture we hold as a sign of being successful, owning your own home. That's the dream. That's the thing you should do as a responsible citizen. Don't be a burden on the state. You know, there's that sort of language. And human beings are social. You'll internalise that, and that gets experienced as shame. And then I see it a lot with people I work with. The voice gets inhibited, and also gets further inhibited by engagements with broken social systems and institutions. Is how can you spot when somebody is dealing with these complex emotions? So in my research, I talk about being cautious when people are talking about being grateful, because being grateful suggests like a clientele relationship. It doesn't. You're thankful if a friend helps you. You know, there's a different energy to it. So every time I hear gratefulness mentioned by tenants I'm interviewing, I dig. And then often what's under that is a complex web of emotions, a complex series of circumstances that are having the lid put on them, often at a great deal of cost to the tenants. There needs to be a bit of pressure, I think, to sort of say, to be a good practitioner in social housing, you need some humility. You need capacity to listen. You need to be able to stand up in front of a room full of people and go, yeah, the investments we're looking to do in your properties, we're a little unsure actually what's going to happen, but we need to do something. So let's work together to understand what the effects are. And so there's the need for the technical skills. We need more technical skills in the sector. Big issue is skill depreciation in this country. But also you need to journey along with the people who are going to live long term with the consequences. tenants of social housing have been really badly maligned. They've definitely experienced bad services from landlords. And I think some landlords who are turning and looking at some of this do need to go, oh my God, you know, shame can have a function. The services we've delivered have been shameful. How can we make them so they don't make us feel shame? But if you're not willing to feel the shame and talk about it and admit it's not been great, but also how are you going to have then the conversations about the very real constraints that are there? Because there's definite finance issues. There's definitely properties that, if we're honest, probably need to be gone and new ones built. But tenants aren't going to trust you because you've let them down for 20 years with a rubbish repair service. And it's unweaving all of these things. But also, what's within the gift of a landlord to do in terms of working on stigma in that sort of interaction with tenants? And then where do we need to look upwards collectively and go, oi, actually, this 2 billion whatever programme that you're looking to do for housing, where's the labour case in this for below market rents?